I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am outside, so we're going to enjoy the weather and bring Tip Tuesday to you from outside. So you can hear I have music in the background, and sometimes the helicopters will be flying over because they do a lot of helicopter tours in the area. So I'll give you a little panoramic view of where I'm at. Sort of surrounded by buildings right now, but I'm definitely in the pool section, and thought I would bring you guys Tip Tuesday out here in the outside. So today we're going to be talking about budgeting, and this is going to be a two-part series, with this being part one about budgeting. And let me just give you a little bit of background. So been married like 31 years, and definitely I have done the budget probably 30 of those years. When I first got married, my husband had the budget, and there were some things our first year of marriage that were late, and I kept inquiring about things, and he didn't have decisive answers. And I just thought, this is not his strong point. And sometimes you just got to work that out and figure out which one is more suited for keeping track and organizing the finances. And it's not just paying the bills, but it's also formulating a plan with them. It was not a good thing for us to divide and conquer. And the reason why is because when you divide and conquer, sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, or the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing for the overall goal of a budget, or an overall goal of savings or investments. Now, I am not a financial advisor, so anything that I say is my opinion. I want to get that out there right away and let you guys know that you really need to do the research on your own. But I'm going to tell you what works for me, and then some tips that we can give our clients if we're coming in and helping them with such things that we're talking about today. So like I said, years ago, my husband decided that he wasn't the one to do the budget. He actually is more of a spender, and I'm more of a saver. But I'm also not, it's not just that I looked for or that I noticed. It was my ability to forecast, my ability to plan and be prepared. The best defense against chaos is preparation, whether that's, with family matters, or that was with money matters, or physical spaces. Preparation is in just the number one thing that you need to have and be done, that can be done to help prepare you for anything that's coming through the future. So it's funny that I'm bringing this topic unplanned. I didn't know that I was going to be in Las Vegas when I actually planned this, but we're talking about budgeting here. So I don't know what that means. Maybe these people really need to listen in, because I just sort of think that's ironic how budgeting came in to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't know how much budgeting is here. Don't have a clue. But as a professional organizer, I want to make sure that I want to tell you guys some things. So get some pen and paper. I am going to take some questions today. If you happen to be tuning in and you think of a question, pop it on the screen, and if I have time, I'll absolutely be glad to answer that for you. But if not, I've got a whole list of things and tips to talk about today. And if you're just joining us, just know we have some background in the noise in the background from here at Las Vegas, Nevada. And we are definitely on the Strip. It's not party time yet, but they start early here, at least with the noise. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how things that you really, if you're interested in starting a budget and getting at least your finances from how you spend money and manage money, not necessarily your investments or retirement, but if you're wanting to start with home base, start with your budget. And there's a few things you need to keep in mind when you're ready to start with your budget. One is, do you really want it? Budgeting sounds good. Often you say, I'm horrible with money, but I have a budget and I don't follow it. If you're going to do it, you got to want it. So this Tip Tuesday is just going to be about information for those that really want to get their finances in order. And there's steps. It's not going to be the final completion of your budget, and you're not all going to be organized just from this Tip Tuesday. So no, it's just part one, and there's a lot of moving parts within part one that I want to go over with you. Also, everyone needs to be involved that has access to the money or the accounts that the money comes out of. So it's not just enough for you to go in and create yourself a budget or your household a budget. If other people are feeding into that account and drawing money out or putting money in, if they're spending money, then in your household, like my husband, I mean, I manage the budget and I do the budget, but he has agreed to follow my lead in whatever I set up because he trusts me. Now, at first, that was a little difficult. He wanted things a certain way, but he realized after seeing the big picture that it probably wasn't possible for our long-term goals. So you need to have people on board that are going to be involved with spending money in your home. And then if you have a little bit of difficulty with someone that maybe doesn't want to give up access or control, or just they want to spend when they want to spend, show the real picture. That sometimes can help be a motivator if they are showing a real picture of being able to see their debt versus income and being able to see how much they actually have free each month and where is that going to lead them if they keep spending that way for years upon years. And give them the big picture of, as you near retirement, the big picture becomes real, like, ooh, I don't have enough money and I need to really buckle down. Well, be honest with you, you might see some other things like not necessarily retirement, but like college or maybe a vacation that you really have to work for, and you need to see the big picture. So let everyone that has access to the money in the accounts, and that's going to be a decision maker within the budget, or at least be touched by the budget, have access to maybe a long-term picture and be able to get the real picture from you who are doing the budget. Okay, so we're going to stop with tip number 1. Tip number 1 is gather your bills. Any kind of notes or payments that you have, amounts that are due, and the balances. So the first thing is to gather. Whether you're organizing physical things in your home, you want to gather the stuff, and then you want to do the next step after, which we'll talk about. But you first got to get it all together. So again, we're talking here of not just bills, but of how much is due every month, but also things like the balance and the due date that they're due. It would be helpful, possibly, depending on how you have your account set up to be paid, is to also gather how it's currently being paid. Like, is it being paid off of a credit card, or is it being paid off of a debit card from automatic payment, or are you sending in a check every month, or something else? Just keep in mind that get all this information together. You can write it down in a notepad, you can do it in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. But the first step before you can do any step is to gather all that information together. So that's going to put you on a course for getting organized with just gathering. Okay, tip number 2. After your bills are all gathered, think of those bills that might not be monthly, such as card tags or car registration. I have here gift buying or any HOA dues that you would pay maybe like quarterly, subscriptions, anything that is a non-monthly payment. And the reason why is because those aren't often incorporated in your monthly budget. For those people that don't have a budget, they just sort of pay them when it comes up, and sometimes they're the unexpected expected bills, and they cause course correction because you're really not planning on it from a financial standpoint, but you know it's coming up here. So gather all of those together, not just your bills that we talked about. And we're going to talk next week on part 2 of more how to manage those type of bills that come in that are not monthly bills, things that are yearly or semi-annually or quarterly or bi-monthly. We're going to talk definitely. I have a great system that I think will help you with that, being, again, prepared and planning ahead to reduce that chaos or unexpected cost. Okay, tip number 3. Divide up your bills based on all the paydays affecting your household. So in our household, we have basically 2 paydays. My husband gets paid twice a month, and we really just make sure that we focus on his payday for what I'm talking about here. What bills get paid on what pay dates. And keep in mind that if you start seeing as you're putting your budget together, because you've got to decide, now that you've gathered everything, you've got to decide which payday dates actually get what bills paid. So I pay bills twice a month. You may get paid every week. And so if you get paid weekly, then you've got to divide all your bills into which bills get paid each week. And in order to do that, you've got to, again, gather them, and then now you're going to divide them once you've gathered them into what pay periods that you are going to particularly pay that bill. Now, keep in tip, a tip inside of a tip. If you find that you have too much due on 1 week, let's say a payday, let's say you get paid 4 times a month, and you have too much due in 1 week, you can call the people that manage your account, whether that's a credit card company or a car company, and you can have your due date switched in many cases. Again, it might be under a contract, it may not be, but normally they allow some maneuvering in there. I've done this many of times, even with electric companies, and getting that bill to be due on a particular time that meets my budget needs. So keep in mind you can orchestrate that if you find that you need to spread it out a little bit better. All right, tip number 4. Know where you are going to put this information. And this is a big thing. People get all excited about, all these kind of budgeting books and apps and all the kind of things that, they have colors and they have pages and they have cool applications in the app. But an app is only as good as the information you put in it and then choose to use it. So don't get carried away with something that is flashy or trendy. It needs to be able to work for you. And one of the things that we tell our clients when we go in and we organize their home, we tell them that any system that we set up has to be a low maintenance system. If it's high maintenance, you're not going to stick with it. If it's too much work, you're going to be motivated probably right at first, and then you're going to burn out and you're like, oh, it didn't work for me. So whatever you set up, it's got to be simple, and it's got to be something, like I said, you got to want it, and that you're going to keep up with, because the idea of getting a budget, the idea of being wiser with your money and making it stretch further and staying out of debt or getting out of debt has to start with, do you really want it? And then what system are you going to want to keep up with? So here's a couple of different systems that you can check out on your own. And I think we might post a few links after Tip Tuesday's over with too. So still on tip number 4, Mint.com. Mint.com has been around for quite a long period of time. In fact, when I have done a lot of my organizing talks on getting organized, we talk about paper clutter or budgeting. I have people that come up to me and will say, hey, I'm a CPA and I use Mint.com. And I'm like, yeah, I know about it. It's like even professionals use it. Now, Mint.com is free, absolutely free. And that is one of the great things. And it is absolutely it keeps you on track. It lets you know when you link all your accounts, your credit cards, your payments, everything. It lets you know and gives you updates throughout the day or week of how much you're spending in a particular category. So it is really, really good for helping you keep up with some type of budget. So Mint.com would probably be the standard in the industry for keeping a budget if you're going to look at an app that's probably, but it does have some functions, or other apps have some functions that Mint doesn't have. Another thing is you can use a app called Wally. Now, Wally I'm not very familiar with, but I did do some reviews online, and basically the biggest difference between Wally and Mint is Wally allows you to take pictures of your receipt and take that information and put it into how much you're spending, which obviously helps you keep track of, what you spent that money on, because you can see the receipt. So Wally, W-A-L-L-Y, does individual transactions where you can see how much you spent on an individual transaction, where Mint.com is more of, here's your overall money that you spent in this category. You can see the different transactions, but it doesn't categorize them as well as Wally does. Also, a simple notepad and pen. I mean, I don't want to overlook this, but it's simple. You just write out your paydays and you write out what bills are going to be paid during those paydays, add it up, and see if what that total comes to. That total comes to what you're making, if it comes hopefully less than what you're making. And then there's some things on next week that we're going to talk about adding some different things to your budget that makes you better prepared and plan ahead for things. So we're just doing the basics today. So even a pen and paper, that's how I started. That's how a lot of my kids have started. And then now what I've done in the recent years, and also some of my adult children, they've gone over to an Excel spreadsheet. So Excel is, if you don't know, most people know, it's a document that has all these fields in them, like squares. You know, there's an A1 square, an A2 square, and everything's in squares. So it's really good for when you're doing spreadsheets, like with numbers and little descriptions beside it. And the great thing about Excel, with just a very little simple YouTube video on how to use it, you can create yourself where your actual columns will add up automatically at a number below. So let's say that you change one of your numbers, your electric bill's a little higher one month. Well, you change that and the number to below automatically change. You don't have to re-add it. So doing some simple formulas within an Excel spreadsheet would be great. And I do my budget for a year at a time. And then I know what came last year, and I know what I'm doing right now, so I can really get a good forecast of what's coming up in my budget. And then I change it, and it just keeps cycling out every year. And I have to go through it normally in January and review it all, but there is a plan for an entire year. So anyway, Wally.com, Mint.com, and the Excel spreadsheet, Notepad. One thing I will say, if you're going to be working on your budget and whether you're using an app or whatever, be very careful when you're accessing your budget when you're on an unsecured server. For example, I'm here in Las Vegas, so I'm actually using their Wi-Fi connection. I would not do that and work on my budget here because it's just not secure as it needs to be. I would prefer that you do that in the security of your own home under your Wi-Fi so you can be able to use it on that. So just keep in mind security. Also, if you use a lot of apps, information on your phone, you might want to lock your phone with some kind of password or digital image you can do a finger image with, just something to keep that information more secure, because you're talking about your finances and you don't want people to ever have access to that. So try to do your due diligence and do that, be more secure. Okay, so tip number 5, savings. Now I'm not getting into savings and investments too much, but I wanted to throw out this tip that is a really easy way to save money. I do this, but from a different angle. So every time that I pay with something, I do most of my stuff cash. And when I pay with cash, I keep all the extra change and I empty my wallet out really frequently because of it. And I pretty much, for personal uses, took all that money and put it into a bag. And then sometimes when that bag gets full, I physically count the money and I put that money in a little stash. My husband does not know about the stash. Do you have a stash? I have a stash. And I keep it up there. I think I had a good amount of money for a vacation coming up. I've been doing this for like a long time. Like if I get any money back from like rebates or ebates or unexpected money in the mail or my loose coin, I collect it and put it in one spot. And that allows me to have that extra cash building up. Now, I'm not investing in it. I'm not making an interest. It's just my little stash, emergency money, fun money, wherever. But it comes from every different place over time. I don't just spend, if I get an unexpected, a rebate for something in the mail that I've forgotten about, I just don't go deposit it and spend it. I actually put it in my stash. With that, the other way that I have found, and I just found this out not too long ago, is a application or a software called Acorn. And Acorn is an incredible way to save without really knowing you're saving. So once you get up your account and you link your bills and all this, or your finances to it, what it does is if you spend something like a coffee and you buy a coffee for like $3.50, it will round it up to the next dollar. So it'll take the 50 cents and take that and put it into an investment for you that actually will grow. And I saw a great review on this, and I thought, this is a great review. He did the pros and cons. There is a fee involved, $1, $2, and $3 a month, which he'll talk about in the review that I'm going to put the link down below. Incredible review on this. But he said, if you're one of those people that does not save, then, and this is the convenient way that really doesn't hurt to save, then do it, because it's better to make some money than no money at all. He said, or if you're in the situation where you're having $3,000 or over that you can put in and start saving and adding to it, he said it's definitely a good investment, because he was weighing the difference between other investments versus Acorn. And he said you can definitely save and make more money from other investments, but if you're the person, like he said, like 58% of the people in America don't save anything. And this is a painless way to have something. And I'm going to just recommend this just based on his review and my research. And I'm going to put that link down below. So check it out if you're needing a really easy way to save and start saving. All right, so tip number 6. So what if your spouse is not on board? And this is a problem, because really, I told you at the very beginning, you sort of need to make sure is everyone on board in your family. What if they are the one that messes it all up? They come in and they overspend, or they don't care about the budget. They just want what they want. We have a little bit of an issue in our home where, like I told you, my husband's a spender, and he will go out and buy something, and we're not so tight that he has to ask to spend, to go buy a Starbucks or to fill up for gas, but I still need to know he's taking that money out of the debit account if he uses it, because he can go swipe that debit card all day, and sometimes he'll get, there's no money. I'm like, you got to prepare me that if you're going to be spending money, that I got to know about it. Well, even if he does, let's say the money's there, the transaction goes through, he doesn't tell me about it till days later. And I can't tell you how frustrated that has been, because I've had other expenses coming in, and one of them's got denied or NSF. I'm like, this is crazy. So we had to come up with a solution where he told me immediately what he spent, so I can adjust the account if it was something that was unplanned. So he had to really be willing to work with me, and he's still not perfect, but he had to be willing to work with me and realize that my job that he had agreed to give me was the budget and the overall financial responsibility of the household and managing it. And my job was to manage it wisely and to save us money. And in order for me to do that well and to his benefit and not waste his money nor my money, then he needed to follow my lead. So that's a conversation you really have to have. I think maybe it hurt, his man pride, I guess, maybe, that I was having to tell him no or yes or no or don't. But someone's got to do it. The most capable, most disciplined person should do it. And again, we just had to walk through that. So that was tip number 6, and that is the final one for today. I will say this. Let me add on to tip number 1. Set an agreed upon budget. Like if he's going to be involved, maybe he needs some spending money. My husband thinks he doesn't get enough spending money. I think he gets plenty because all his other needs are completely covered. But every time he tries to whine about it to people, they are normally on his side. That means my grip is really tight because I'm frugal. I got to make it stretch. Also, limit access. We had a client years ago that her and her husband were having a lot of marriage issues, and one of the things was the problem, there was many problems, but one of them that was addressed that he had mentioned was she just goes out and spends money and doesn't really care what he says or thinks. Well, that caused a lot of friction, and she goes, oh no, I stay in budget. He goes, no, you don't. So what I suggested was that she get a prepaid or preloaded card every month that she could spend. If she did not want the cash part, she could just, have that card that's preloaded, and he could put something on there every month for her to use. It ended up working for them. But you got to be willing to swallow your pride and realize this is the for the betterment of the family. It's not, I'm just coming after you and you're the culprit. This is for the betterment of the family when you're talking about people restricting them from getting, all the money at one time, or really just curtailing it into what they can actually spend. Like I said, or give them cash. I'm a big cash girl. I go every payday and I get a set amount of cash out, and that's what I use for my spending or my extra money. And when it's gone, it's gone. But I'm disciplined with it. If there's an emergency comes up that I need extra money, normally I can find it from someplace, even if it stays on a credit card for a little bit. But that is my out to eat money. That is my now money. That is the things that I use for me. And again, I know how much I need, and it's normally I just take it out in cash every month. Now people go, well, Lorraine, you're losing points when you're paying for cash if you're not doing it on your credit card. That's true, but I'm also financially in a position where those points don't mean as much to me. What means more to me, even though I want the points, what means more to me is staying out of debt. And that is the important. If you're not disciplined, then forget the points, because that's going to get you in more debt. Just go ahead and take the cash and use that, because that's going to keep you debt free in most cases, or at least help with it. Okay, so we talked about, it's a little quick review. We talked about gathering your bills. So if you're going to get organized with your budget, this is what I need you to do before next week, is gather all your bills, then divide them into paydays, which payday to pay periods are each bill going to get paid in. Communicate with your spouse as to what's going on with the budget and making sure they stay in that, we're going to be doing this each week. Give them a big picture, give her a big picture of what's going on with the budget. Organize them, put them into something, whether that's Mint.com or Wally or an Excel spreadsheet. We mentioned some others. Get them organized. And then look at them often and update every pay period, the budget, and then plan yearly. And we are going to talk about the rest of those things, about looking often, updating frequently, and then planning yearly. We're going to talk about that next week in more detail, but I'm going to give you a little bit of glimpse of what's ahead. All right, so I'm going to announce the winner of last week's giveaway. It is Tiffany Grasser, I believe is how you pronounce it. Tiffany, you won the magnetic labels, and congratulations. Thank you for joining us on Tip Tuesday last week. My husband loved being on and about getting honey to do his honeydews, and I hope you don't have a problem with that. But anyway, we will get those in the mail to you real soon, and thank you again for leaving a comment down below. Our giveaway this week is going to be a consultation with a professional organizer in your home if you're in one of our service areas. So keep that in mind. We can't service the entire United States if we're going to come to your home, but we could do a phone consultation, and our organizer will be able to give you all kinds of ideas. Those are valued in homes at $150, and they give you tons and tons of tips. They create an action plan for you that they'll email suggesting products that'll maximize space. So you make sure, if you're wanting to be entered into the giveaway for this week, that you put your comment down below. Any comment this week gets you entered, and we'll send an organizer over to your home, and they're yours for 2 hours and be able to give you great organizing advice. All right, I think we have another tour helicopter coming over above. All right, so my Tip Tuesday tool of the week. You're gonna laugh, because I'm traveling. I have to keep things that are around me that I can use easily to show you guys. And this is really one that I use all the time. And my daughter-in-law, who's watching, hi Jessica, will probably have seen this before in my car. But I use this when I travel, and I also use it in my car to keep it there, is this. You'll see these at stores. So a few years ago, me and my son was in New York, and we were doing the walking in New York, and we went into a drugstore, and we wanted some hand wipes to clean our hands and to clean surfaces, because New York can be a very dirty city. And we paid too much for this. It's actually a really heavy duty plastic. This is a zip lock here, and then it has a strap. And then you actually open it up, and you put Ziploc wet wipes in it when you want to refill it. And then you just pull them out here, just like a wet wipe container. and close it. But it's not the paper. This is a thick, heavy-duty plastic. So I have been using this on flights when I'm out and about here in Las Vegas, when I am at the parks with my grandkids. This is a way that I can have some organized, clean items at my fingertips, and I don't have to rebuy anything, and it's actually reusable over and over. I guess this is at least 2 years old probably, and it's in mint condition. So I throw it in my purse when I'm out, or back in my car when I'm not traveling. I could have more, but these are, I think it's from Huggies. Hopefully you can find them in the department. They had all kinds of cute patterns. So anyway, that is my Tip Tuesday tool of the week. Okay. All right, so next week on Tip Tuesday, we're going to be talking about budgeting, part 2 of budgeting, and we will wrap that up. I'm going to give you a lot of great ideas for those unexpected but expected bills that don't occur every payday or every month, and I've got a great idea for you on that. Also, one of the areas that I want to highlight today on our services, I always love to highlight something that we do at Get Organized that will help our clients, something maybe you don't know about. We're talking about budgeting. So we actually go in and help you do this. Now, we're not your financial advisor, but just the organization, getting all the gathering and the organizing and deciding on which pay periods, we can help you with that. So if it's something that you are desperately needing to get under control, maybe just a consultation, maybe just a 5-hour day to be able to get this could actually save you huge amounts of money. So keep in mind, we can do that. That's going to require many times going through your paperwork, looking at possible emails about communications about bills that are getting paid. We need to get all that under control with you, and we can absolutely help you. So leave a message down below, private messages, call our main office. Our website is getorganized.ws, and we can definitely set you an appointment up. I would start with a 2-hour consultation, which is $150, and let's see what we can get done. And again, you're going to save more money than what you're going to pay getting your budget and those finances under control. All right, so as a reminder, don't forget to leave a comment down below if you want to be entered to receive our free consultation that we're giving away. So if you need that for a budget help, then we're giving away one. So try to win it. So today, what's on my agenda today in Las Vegas? So my husband is at a conference during the day, and I'm sort of all to myself. I'm going to work some because I got a lot to be doing. I may go swimming tomorrow. I don't want to mess all this up today. Definitely want to go do some shopping. I want to go to some of the malls here, try some of just walk down the strips. I need to find the bus routes that go up and down the strip so I can just hop on a bus, because there's a lot of walking here. Me and my husband actually honeymooned at the Flamingo Hilton on our second night of being married. We flew here, and we came to Las Vegas on $830. That's when all the meals were like $1.99 for all you can eat buffet. The food was so cheap because they wanted to get you here to gamble. Well, I don't give them my money for gambling. I just wanted the food and the experiences. Now it's not. Like last night, you don't want to know what I paid for a bowl of pasta. You don't want to know. I think if I took a taxi and went outside of the strip, I probably would be, with a taxi in my meal, I'd probably come out cheaper. So I've got me some snacks at the local Walgreens that I'm using in substitute of my meals. They're healthier anyway. But it's actually cool here. Not cool, but it's like in the low 90s. And so it's really nice and not hot like you would think normally Las Vegas is. They said it just started getting cooled off, which is great for me. But, I am going to enjoy my week here in Las Vegas with my husband, and I look forward to seeing you guys and talking budgeting next week on Tip Tuesday. In the meantime, you guys gather and organize those bills and get them together, and we'll see you next week on Tip Tuesday. Hey, great day, guys. Bye-bye.